Book of Heaven. Volume 16. 15th to the 20th of November 1923. Page 46 to 52. November 15, 1923. Continuation. The role of Luisa is to draw the divine will to reign upon earth, just as Most Holy Mary drew the Word to be incarnated in order to accomplish redemption. Jesus did both things, but fulfilled only redemption, to prepare the creature to receive the kingdom. I felt as though drowned in the holy will of God. My sweet Jesus seemed to amuse himself very much in my interior in sending me light, and I felt as though eclipsed in that light. I felt that my mind was being filled with so much that I could not contain it, to the point of saying to Jesus, "Jesus, my heart, don't you know that I am little? I cannot contain what you want to put into my intelligence." And Jesus, "Little daughter of mine, do not fear, your Jesus will let you drink this light sip by sip, so that you may receive it and comprehend it. Do you know what this light means? It is the light of my will. It is that divine will rejected by other creatures, which, wanting to come and reign upon earth, seeks to find someone who would receive it, comprehend it, and love it. In order to come and reign, it wants to find a little soul who would offer herself to receive all the acts that the Supreme Will had destined for each creature, to make her happy and holy, and to give her the goods it contains. Now, this happiness, sanctity and the goods that the Eternal Will delivered, in order to communicate them to the creature just as it delivered the whole creation, are united and suspended, and if it does not find one who receives them, to give it all the homage, honor and courting that the other creatures have not given it. It cannot come and reign upon earth. Therefore, your task is to embrace all generations in order to receive all the acts of the Supreme Will that they rejected, with all the goods it contains. If you do not do so, my eternal will cannot put itself in feast, to come and reign. It will have the tears of the past sorrow, of how ungratefully it was rejected, and one who cries does not reign. Therefore it wants not only that the acts of its volition destined to each creature, receive reparation, but that there be desire to receive its happiness with love, along with everything it contains. And I, Jesus, my love, how can I do this? I am too little and also a little bad, and you know it. Even more, I fear I am unable to do it even for myself. How can I do it for others? And he, again, this is exactly why I chose you, and I keep you small, so that you may do nothing by yourself, but always together with me. I too know that, little as you are good at nothing, at the most, at making me smile with your childish things. Therefore, your Jesus will take care of everything. This is necessary, just as it was necessary that in order to come and fulfill redemption, a little daughter of ours, my Mama, assumed the task of receiving within her all the acts of our will rejected by creatures. And she made them her own, she welcomed them with decorum, loved them, repaired them, returned them, so much so, as to fill all their boundaries, as much as it is possible for a creature. When the divinity saw, reintegrated in this little creature, its will of creation, not only for herself, but for all others, it felt so attracted that it added the greatest act, the most sublime, the most prodigious one, to the many acts of its will in creation, that this little one be the one to be raised to the exclusive and unique dignity of mother of her own Creator. I, Eternal Word, could never have descended from heaven, had I not found in her my will, reintegrated, as we had wanted it to be in the creature. What then was the cause that made me come upon earth? My will existing in a little creature. What did I care if she was small? All I cared about was that my will be safe in her, with no fracture on the part of her human will. Once our will was safe, all our rights were given back to us, the creature placed herself in the order of her Creator, and the Creator placed himself in the order of the creature. The purpose of creation was already fulfilled, so we got to the facts, that the Word be made flesh, first to redeem man, and then, so that our will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Ah, yes, it was my Mama, who, taking into herself all our will, delivered for the good of creation, darted the divinity with divine arrows, in such a way as to draw, like a powerful magnet, the Word into her womb, wounded by our own arrows. We can deny nothing to one who possesses our will, See then, the necessity for which I want another creature to offer herself to receive into herself all the acts of my will, which I delivered in creation, so as to give fulfillment to that fiat which I brought upon earth, and which was welcomed and understood only by my mother. And this is why there was no division between me and her. The divinity wants to be wounded once again with its own darts, in order to give the generations this great good, that my will reign in them. This is the greatest thing it wants to give, the true origin of man. A human will is not enough to beseech it, and even less, to wound the divinity. It takes a divine will with which the soul, filled with it, may wound her Creator with his own arrows, so that, wounded, he may open the heavens and let his will descend upon earth. More so, since he will find his noble court, all the acts of his will lined up in the creature, who snatched from him this solemn act, that his will come to reign on earth with its complete triumph. On hearing this, I said to him, "My beloved good, your words confuse me. Even more, they annihilate me, so much that I feel like a little newborn baby, whose limbs are not yet well formed, and therefore it is necessary to swaddle her. And while swaddling clothes are still necessary to form me, you want to unswaddle me, but to do what? To make me stretch my little baby hands and embrace your eternal will. My Jesus, don't you see? I can't reach, I cannot hold it, I am too little. Moreover, if it pleases you so much that your will reign upon earth, why did you wait so long? And why, when you came upon earth, did you not do both things, that is, the redemption and the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven? Your arms were strong and long enough to embrace your interminable will, see, O Jesus? Mine are weak and short. How can I do that? And he, again, poor little child, you are right. My words confuse you, the light of my will eclipses you and renders you the true newborn of the supreme will. Come into my arms, I will swaddle you with the clothes of my own will, so that it may strengthen your limbs with its fortitude, so it will be easy for you to hold tightly in your little arms that eternal will which wants to come and reign in you with so much love. So I flung myself into his arms, to let Jesus do with me what he wanted. Then he added, I could indeed have done both things when I came upon earth, but the creature is not capable of receiving the work of her Creator all at once. Moreover, I myself delight in giving ever new surprises of love. And then, the creature had profaned her taste with her own will, she had made the breath of her soul stink with such ugly things as to be disgusting to me. She had reached the point of acquiring a taste for the most revolting things, to the extent of letting them flow over the three powers of the soul like a rotten fluid, such that her nobility could no longer be recognized. Therefore, with my redemption, first I had to take care of all of this, providing all the remedies, and giving all these evils the bath of my blood in order to wash them. Had I wanted to do both things, man being so dirty, blind and deaf, rendered so by his human will, he would not have had the eyes of the intelligence to comprehend, nor the ears to listen, nor the heart to receive my will. And my will, not being understood, and finding no place in which to dwell, would have turned back to heaven once again. Therefore it was necessary that, first, man understand the goods of redemption to be able to dispose himself to comprehend the good of the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven. The same would have happened also with you, if at the beginning, when I began to speak to you, I had talked to you about my will, you would not have understood. I would have behaved like a teacher, who, instead of teaching the first letters of the alphabet to his pupil, wanted to teach him sciences and foreign languages. Poor boy, he would get confused and would learn nothing. Instead, I wanted to talk to you of suffering, of virtues, things which are more adapted and more tangible for human nature, things which can be called the alphabet of Christian life, the language of the exile, and of those who aspire to the celestial fatherland. On the other hand, my will is the language of heaven, and it begins there where all other sciences and virtues end. My will is queen that dominates all and crowns all, in such a way that before the sanctity of my will all other virtues shrink and tremble. This is why, first, I wanted to be your teacher of the alphabet, to dispose your intelligence, and then become your celestial and divine master, who knows only about the language of the fatherland, a teacher of the highest science that my will contains. First, I had to remove from you the taste for everything, because the human will has this poison that it makes one lose taste for the divine will. In all created things, which came from me, I had placed a divine flavor. But by doing her will, even in holy things, the soul does not find this flavor. So, in order to let you taste my will, I am attentive to not let you taste anything else, so as to dispose you and give you the more sublime lessons of my will. If this was necessary for you, more so for the whole church, to which first, I had to make known the inferior things, and then the highest thing of all, my will. November 20th, 1923. Jesus himself gives Luisa the proof that what she is writing is true. In her there is the life and the facts of what she writes. The divine will is life and air of the soul. I felt concerned about what I was writing, and I thought to myself, what will be my confusion on the day of judgment, if instead of being my Jesus to speak to me, it were my fantasy, or the infernal enemy? My Jesus, I feel like dying at the mere thought of it, and you know the great repugnance I feel in writing. If it wasn't for blessed obedience, I would not have written a word. And I felt such confusion, that if it had been in my power, I would have burned up everything. Now, while I was in this state, my always adorable Jesus came out from within my interior, like a little baby, and placing his little head upon my shoulder, he clung to my face and said, "My daughter, why do you fear? You should not worry about thoughts, but about facts. Is it perhaps not true that your will, embracing mine, wants to find all in order to bind them with my will, to retie all the broken bonds between the human will and the divine, exposing yourself to defend and to excuse the creatures, and to repair the Creator? This is indeed a fact in you. Is it perhaps not true that you swore you wanted to live in my will, by pronouncing a yes? Ah, that yes is a chain for you, and it keeps you bound within my will, and as you enjoy the taste of it, it makes you abhor the shadow of your will. This is a fact, and then many other things which you know. If you were writing but the life, the facts of what you write, were not in you, then you could have feared, and I would have given you neither strength, nor light, nor assistance. On the contrary, you would have been dull and I could not have continued further. Therefore, calm down, and continue to live as though needed in my will, in order to expand the boundaries of your human will within mine. See, also my humanity was little, and it kept growing as though needed with the divine will, in such a way that, as I grew, my human will, living together with the divine, expanded its boundaries within the will of the Eternal One, and prepared redemption and the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven. And you, don't you want to follow my growth and your flight in my will? My will is not only life, but air of the soul, and if air is missing to life, the nature begins to decline, the breathing is hampered, the heart is hindered in its beating, the blood circulation is irregular, the intelligence becomes numb, the eye almost lifeless, the voice choked, the strength lost. What is it that throws so much chaos into human life? The lack of air. Therefore, a balsamic air can restore order and vigor in nature. All this is caused by one's own will which, like bad air, produces chaos, irregularity, weakness and the decline of all that is good in the soul. And if one does not help himself with the celestial air of my will, which makes everything rise again, fortifies, orders and sanctifies everything, the human life will be a life half extinguished, disordered and sloping down to evil.